April 14th, 1912. The RMS Titanic, a marvel of modern engineering, glides across the North Atlantic. Under a canopy of stars, the ocean is eerily calm. On the lookout deck, two crewmen stand watch, their breaths visible in the icy air. Suddenly, an ominous shadow emerges, a massive iceberg dead ahead. A frantic warning bell shatters the stillness, but it's too late. The Titanic's starboard side scrapes against the iceberg, and beneath the surface, the icy waters find their way into the ship's hull. The ship, deemed unsinkable, has begun its descent into infamy. In the bowels of the Titanic, chaos erupts. The freezing Atlantic rushes in, breaching 5 compartments, one more than the ship can endure. Thomas Andrews, the Titanic's designer, is summoned. His verdict is grim. The ship has just hours to live. Below deck, engineers and stokers battle the rising waters, trying to keep the boilers running. Above, the passengers remain largely unaware, their dreams undisturbed by the unfolding nightmare. Captain Smith and his officers mobilize the crew, waking passengers and urging them to don life jackets. In first class, some dismiss the warnings, reluctant to leave the comfort of their luxurious cabins. In third class, confusion reigns as locked gates prevent many from reaching the upper decks. For some, fear begins to set in, but for most, the reality of the situation remains a distant shadow. The Titanic was equipped with only 20 lifeboats, enough for just half the passengers on board. As the first boats are lowered, they carry far fewer people than they can hold, driven by fear that they might not withstand the weight. Women and children are given priority, separating families in heart-wrenching scenes. On deck, the air is filled with quiet disbelief, punctuated by the sound of lifeboats creaking as they descend into the freezing waters. In the wireless room, the Titanic's radio operators work tirelessly, sending out distress calls into the void. The new SOS signal, an urgent cry for help, reaches the RMS Carpathia, which immediately alters course. But the Carpathia is over 4 hours away. As water creeps into the wireless room, the operators refuse to abandon their posts, their dedication an enduring symbol of the human spirit in the face of catastrophe. Amid the chaos, a poignant act of bravery unfolds. The Titanic's band gathers on deck, their music rising above the turmoil. They play to calm the fearful, their notes a mix of hymns and familiar melodies. As the ship lists further, the musicians play on, offering a final solace to those awaiting their fate. Their courage resonates through history, a tribute to humanity's grace under pressure. With the bow fully submerged, the Titanic's stern lifts high into the night sky, a towering silhouette against the stars. The ship's structure can no longer endure the strain. A deafening crack splits the air as the Titanic breaks in two. The bow vanishes beneath the waves, followed moments later by the stern. For the thousands still aboard, the icy Atlantic becomes their final resting place. In the aftermath, the lifeboats drift in haunting silence. Survivors, shivering and stunned, cling to each other for warmth. The cries of those in the water fade, replaced by an oppressive stillness. Hours later, the RMS Carpathia arrives, pulling survivors from the freezing sea. Out of over 2,200 souls aboard the Titanic, more than 1,500 perish. The tragedy shocks the world, forever etching the name Titanic into history as a solemn reminder of human hubris and vulnerability.